Hey, I'm here.
Hey, how you doing, Randy?
Good. Can you see me?
I can't.
You can't?
I can't.
Oh, wait a minute.
There you are.
Good.
Now I can see you. How you doing?
Good. I'm ready to roll.
Great. Yeah, so am I. I understand we only have 30 minutes for this.
I
Originally,
was, I
I
was
want.
set for 10. I was set for 10 o'clock, so I don't know what happened.
Oh, they changed it on me. They changed it about a week and a half ago.
Oh, oh
Um,
well.
oh
Okay,
well.
let's roll.
Yeah. Um, there's been a lot of talk in the press
Well, you
about.
can call me. You can call me back at a different time if you want. If we don't have enough time.
Well, let's get through as much as we can, and then
Yeah.
yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
Originally I wanted to make this more about BTO and the tour and the current tour. So let me start with that. How is the BTO tour going?
Quite amazing. Totally unplanned. Um, that I got the VTO logo back. My brother passed away, so there was no more brotherly fighting over who owns what. Who owned the baseball mitt that was left in the backyard, kind of thing. And we did 3 dates in the Midwest about a month ago. One was at the Big E Fest in the Big E State Fair, like that's 5 states in the Northeast and outside of Boston. That went fantastic. Then we did two in Iowa, and Middle America is like crazy over BTO. It was amazing. And we just did the last weekend at the YouTube Theater and Indio and San Diego, and the same thing. The LA area pretty much crazy over BTO, and like there's been no BTO around for quite some time, and so to come back, we have a very active fan base that are sending in requests. Would you play this from the second album? Would you play this from the third album? We've never heard these before on stage, and so we're having fun doing that. And it's quite amazing to me that these fans are still there. And you know what? It's amazing. There's like 18 and 20-year-old kids there that are just learning guitar, and they're totally sick of everything that's on classic radio because it's so repetitive that they discovered BTO, and we haven't been around that much, like like a Bon Jovi or Aerosmith or anything like that. And so they're finding this I don't know, this kind of music, which is kind of real heavy pop that kind of maybe became classic rock, and it's going very well. Right now, I'm back home. I've got 18 tracks from BTO Live at the Budokan in '76, and I'm looking at those. They sound amazing. They sound absolutely fantastic. So I'll be mixing those. Those will be coming out next year, and next year will be the 50th anniversary of Not Fragile album, number one album, Ain't Seen Nothing Yet, number one single, and our worldwide tour with Bob Seger in the States, Thin Lizzy in UK, and Scorpions in Germany.
That's great. What were some of the songs that people were requesting? Because I'm a huge BTO fan myself. As a matter of fact, BTO was the first concert I ever went to.
Wow. This guy wants to hear Blown, and he's there with his mother or somebody. And he says, I want to hear Blown. I've never heard it. It's a great song. You've got the slide in there that's kind of like the Led Zeppelin thing, the whole lot of love. And what does blown mean? I said, well, it kind of means you've got a blown tire, you've got a blown mind, or it could mean a blowjob. I think it's like any lyric. John Lennon had a lyric. Whatever you think it is, that's what it is. That's for you. That's your interpretation. Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds is your interpretation. They want to hear Little Candy Dancer. They want to hear Shotgun Rider. They want to hear My Wheels Won't Turn. Um, what else? Find Out About Love. Give It Time. And so now I'm mixing this set. We were so incredible in Japan. It was the end of a 90-day tour. And we had toured the States with Bob Seger about 60 days. They went over to England and toured with Thin Lizzy. They went and did Europe. And then we went to Japan for 5 or 6 days. By the time we got there, we could play our set in our sleep with our hands tied behind our back. And we would stop in the middle and jam it out like Led Zeppelin used to do in the middle of a song. And I would start something on guitar, and Robbie would kick in on drums, and we would do this whole improvised kind of thing and then come back to the song. And I can't believe we played this good, or I played that good, but it's just doing it every single day and getting very much into the rhythm of it. It's really going to be a phenomenal live album. I think it's going to be like when Cheap Trick released their I Want You to Want Me live song. So maybe it'll bring BTO back to classic radio. I don't know.
Oh, I'll be looking forward to it. When you started playing and people were requesting these songs, did it throw the act off at all? Did you rehearse all the hits in rehearsals? What was rehearsals
Yeah,
like?
we already knew all the hits. And in the middle of the first one, which was at the Big E Festival, which was like 15,000 people, a note comes up on stage, and we usually don't take notes. A note comes up on stage and says, "We traveled 300 miles to hear our song. It's not a BTO song. These Eyes was our graduation song. We waltzed to that. We got engaged to that. It was played at our wedding. We played every year at our anniversary. We've been married 30 something years. We drove here to hear These Eyes. Can you play it?" So I say to the crowd, "Do you guys, I was in another band called the Guess Who, and I get a standing ovation for saying that." And we do like 6 Guess Who hits that I wrote. We do Laughing, These Eyes, She's Come Undone, No Sugar, No Time, American Woman, and the crowd goes crazy. So it's fit in between BTO hits, and I jokingly say to the audience, "You're getting two bands for one here, and guess what? We're not charging you double." And they got a big laugh out of that. And it's just a lot of fun that we're kind of celebrating me as a songwriter having written these songs for both bands. It's really fun.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's really quite incredible that you had those two careers as a part of the Guess Who, and then you moved on. You had one of the greatest bands ever in Canadian history, BTO.
Yeah.
Um, and you mentioned people having reading different meanings into a song like "Blown." I actually wanted to ask you about some of the meanings of some of the songs you wrote with both the Guess Who and with BTO.
Sure.
So I'm going to fire a few of those. Let's start with "No Time." What was "No Time" about?
Um, I was a very good distant friend, like because we didn't live in the same neighborhood of Neil Young in Winnipeg. And when I left in the mid '60s to go with the Guess Who on the Shakin' All Over tour with the Kingsman Louie Louie tour, the summer of '65, he left and went to Thunder Bay or Port Arthur, met Stephen Stills, and started Buffalo Springfield. So he came back to Winnipeg and he played me the Springfield album, and it blew me away. Three lead voices, three singers, three guitar players. It was incredible. And then the Buffalo Springfield 2 comes out, and my name's on the back as dedication. And so I get the album, and I absolutely love the way he interplayed his guitar in with Stephen Stills, like in Down by the River, the battles they had of each guy playing until he couldn't play anymore. Some of them went on for 10 and 12 minutes. It was just incredible. So I'm trying to copy Stephen Stills. And Neil Young and Burton and I are sick of doing ballads. We didn't even want These Eyes or Laughing, but our record label pushed for that and said, "You can evolve later." So this was our evolution song. And I didn't even know where it came from. I had that beginning riff, which now, if you listen to it, so whoever does Law and Order stole it. Da 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 da. It's No Time. What's that guy's name? Who does these music for Law and Order? And we just put things in there. What don't we have time for? Silly things. We don't have time for revolving doors. We were in LA. I'm sure we were in San Francisco. And we meet these guys on the street, and they've all been to Vietnam or they're going to Vietnam. And they're all back and they're pissed off because they've been there and they've lost their arm or their leg and they've been sent home and they're now on welfare and stuff. And we hear guys talking to each other and they're saying, "Where have you been?" "I've been to the killing floor." And Bert and I look at each other and go, "The killing floor?" We're like, "What does that mean?" It's like where they slaughter animals, like it's the meat packing kind of thing. And that's how these guys refer to Vietnam. They were drafted out of school, put in a uniform, taught to kill. And if you don't kill, by the way, you'll be killed. So it's kill or be killed. It's a bar fight out there, but the real guns and hand grenades. And so we heard all these things like "No Time for the Killing Floor, No Time Left for You." And I took Stephen Stills' guitar run from a Rock and Roll Woman and a song called Hung Upside Down. If you listen to that, he does a great riff in there that now people think is mine, but it's really not. It's his. So you listen to Hung Upside Down on Buffalo Springfield 2, you hear his lead guitar, and it's part of my solo when I introduce No Time, and every time we come back to that signature riff. And I had my own guitar sound by that time with a thing called a Herzog, which is just a stupid name we made up because I was reading a book by a guy named Herzog. We didn't know what to call this unit that I was making that had two 12AX7 tubes in it. You turn one tube up, it would distort into the other tube, and made my guitar sound like a cello or a viola. And I grew up playing violin, and I love these. I love long, um, drawn out suspended notes. And so to get a guitar that sounded like that with a Bigsby on it, my '59 Les Paul, playing the riff in American Woman or No Time was like really, it was my ideal dream guitar sound. So that's kind of where No Time came from. That's what it meant.
Okay. How about Undone? Who was Undone in that song?
Well, Burton and I would get together every Saturday, and we would spend all week getting records from our friends, listening to the radio, listening to late night radio, WLS in Chicago, because we're at the top of the plains in Winnipeg, and you can get AM radio, which are 50,000 watts at night and hear music they would never play in Winnipeg, which is kind of a country rock kind of town, basically a country town. And we would play each other little parts of songs. And I started to hang out with a guy in Winnipeg who was a great guitar player. His name was Lenny Bro, and he would have played all the Chet Atkins style. And I wanted the Chet Atkins style because that's what Scotty Moore played behind Elvis. I first switched from violin to guitar when I saw Elvis on TV. And that was like a big moment for me. And how do I play like this guy? Well, it's not Elvis. It's the guy behind him, Scotty Moore. And he's playing fingerstyle like Merle Travis or Chet Atkins. And this kid I met in Winnipeg, Lenny Bro, I was 15, he was 16, knew this stuff. So he taught me that stuff. And then he got into jazz. So he started teaching me Howard Roberts, Barney Kessel. And I get all these cool jazz progression chords, which if you listen to these eyes, there's about 16 jazz chords in it. You know, like da 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 da. These it's an F major seventh with a G on the bottom. You know what I mean? And it goes up a whole tone, and it's really an incredible song. We didn't realize it when we were making it, but you look at it now, and it's like, wow, this is amazing. It's like a real Burt Bacharach kind of song. And so we just proceeded that way. And Burton and I couldn't think of anything to fit over these jazz chords I had because it wasn't a 12 bar blues or a rock and roll anthem like American Woman. It was just these flowing jazz chords. And one day when FM radio just started, so this is like 68, and we're in Vancouver, and they say, we now can, FM radio is now stereo. So it used to be classical music and the news. Now we're playing blues albums, Bob Dylan. Tune in Saturday morning and hear stereo. If both doors in your car have the sound coming out, not just the one under the dash. And so I'm listening to Bob Dylan's album, and in it, on it comes a song called Ballad in Plain D. And somewhere in there, he said the words, "She came undone." And when I went, "She's come undone," and I put my jazz chords in, chord, 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 say something. She didn't know what she was headed for, chord, chord, chord. So I did a call and response kind of thing with the jazz chords, and had no idea. I mean, I spelled it UNDUN. We had toured with Sly Stone at that time. That had a big thing. It was called "Thank You for Letting Me Be Myself Again." It was one big long, 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 long word.
Right.
And so I thought I'm going to call this song "Undone" because nobody had had a song called UNDONE. UNDONE looked weird, but UNDUN kind of looked cool, and so we called it that. And I don't know if you ever heard the Kurt Elling version of that. He's a great jazz singer from Toronto. It is just amazing. It's in 7/8 time or something. He's got a great piano player, and he really does the song as a jazz song, jazz standard. So I'm very proud of that song, and I wrote it alone. And Burton Cummings said, "Congratulations, you've written this great song on your own. I can't do anything but leave out of." I'd written about 12 verses like Bob Dylan. I heard the song of his, Ballad and Played. He must have had 20 verses. And Burton said, "Just pick a couple of verses, and I'll repeat. The last one will be the first one again, so people can sing along." And we did that. And out of the blue, I said, I'm also copying "Tell Her No" and the Zombies in this song. But if you do a piano solo, we're going to sound like Rod Argent. So why don't we do something else? He said, "What else can we do?" I said, "Did you play in the high school band?" He said, "Yeah, I played a C melody saxophone." So we're driving in Winnipeg. We go out in the blue. We go to the Yamaha store. And it's just the guy, "Do you have a C melody sax?" The guy says, "No, those don't exist anymore. They're all B flat and E flat and stuff like that." But a flute is the same as a C melody sax. So Burton picks up the flute, blows it, and he can play it. So he takes the flute to Chicago. We record "Undone." He plays the flute solo in one take. And so it's really incredible. He's quite a guy as far as, and I'd say to him, "Look, I'm playing all the guitar on these records, but on stage, I'm going to teach you 3 chords. So you can play rhythm in no time and a couple other songs. I need that rhythm guitar." And so I taught him a couple of chords, and he still plays those songs to this day on stage. He still knows those 3 or 4 chords.
Yeah, he's very multi instrumental. I've seen him live. He's got that really nice blue Gibson guitar, Gibson Princess. Um, one more song, No Sugar Tonight. The first half of it. That's you, right?
Yeah, I wrote that alone. I was in San Francisco. We had played a show where we were the opening act. The next act after us was Alice Cooper, and the headline was Frank Zappa and the Mothers. So this is 1968. Frank Zappa is hot. The first Mothers album is out with their pictures. These guys looked weird, and then he just had just discovered Alice Cooper, who he was producing. He got a label, and he was producing Alice Cooper. So we go down to San Francisco, and we're there, and we're really thrilled to be there because in Winnipeg there's no hippies. It's too cold. We go to San Francisco. It's warm. We want to see the guy that's on the cover of Rolling Stone, which he's got blonde hair with flowers in his hair, a peace sign on his bare chest. He's playing guitar and on the street in front of the university there in Berkeley. We want to see this guy. We want to see a real hippie. I mean, we're like farm guys from Winnipeg, Manitoba, right? So we go there and we see this guy, and then they had head shops there. You go and you buy tie-dyed shirts, and you buy incense or whatever, and you buy bootlegs. So I'm there buying Neil Young bootlegs, vinyl, looking around, thinking I'm going to get arrested by the FBI and all that stuff that was going on there. And I've got all these records, and I'm taking them to my car to put in the trunk of my car. When we left Winnipeg at the time, the mayor gave us all little red maple leaves to pin and put on our collar, right, to show that we were Canadian. He said, wherever you go in the world, you're going to Germany, you're going to England, show that you're Canadian. Believe me, you'll love it because you don't want to be classed as a Yank because they hate Yanks in England. They all came over and took all the women during the Second War. The British guys hate Yanks. Tell them you're Canadian. So I'm there walking with all my albums, and three guys are coming towards me down the street, and they look rough and tough. One's black, one's Chicano, one's white. They're short guys. They have bulging muscles. They got tattoos. They got bare arms. They're giving me the glare like we're going to rip you apart. This is like a bar fight starting or the beginning of Gunsmoke with Matt Dillon at the end of the street and he's walking. These three guys are coming towards me and they're giving me this glare. And I figure, oh my God, what am I going to do? As I'm putting my records in my car and I'm ready to run away from these guys, a little brown car pulls up with a blue door. You remember those Pintos? It was a Pinto that was brown with a blue door. They had been in an accident. They've gotten a spare door. The bumper's hanging off the front as well. The hell with a coat hanger. But when these guys hear this car, two of them leave. So they're not the macho men anymore, giving me a glare like they're going to beat up the Canadian. Just one guy standing there. And she gets out of the car. She's about 5 feet tall, little Chicano lady. And she says, you no good bum. And he looks at me and he shrugs. He's not Mr. Macho anymore. She is taking this guy to court. Um, you're here checking out all the chicks with your homies. You're supposed to be looking for a job. I don't mean reading a want ads in a coffee shop, looking for a job, a real job. You left me at home with the kids. You didn't take out the garbage when you left. The guy looks at me and shrugs. She goes through a whole laundry list of what this guy's done. And says, get in the car. And she slams the door and she says, baby, when you get home, you ain't getting no sugar tonight. And I go, wow, that one thing says it all. And I went and wrote this song. It was kind of racy when I got it because you know what it means. And I had to clean it up. So there's a version of the original version that's like a demo that we would lay down in the studios somewhere in some of the Guess Who stuff. And then we had to clean it up. And then it became, we put it together with New Mother Nature because only really half a song. It was very short. And we wanted to do what the Beatles did with Day in a Life. Put my song, then Burton's song, and then back to back, we sing them both. And as it came out at the time, Jack Richardson wanted a B side for American Woman. He picked No Sugar Tonight, so it was like a double A side, double number one in May of 1970. So I mean, I've had great luck with writing songs on my own and with Burton, and he's had great luck writing on his own. After I was gone, he just shared the land and all the other great songs, Sour Sweet, Glamour Boy. So we've had a great career together and great careers apart.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I wanted to ask you about a lot of BTO songs also, but I've got to ask because this has been in the press so much. This lawsuit that's going on, that you and Burton on one side, and well, you know the whole thing. Um, I want to start with why you left the Guess Who. What precipitated that departure from the Guess Who so long ago?
Galladder.
Okay, that's what Burton told me.
Gallbladder. I'm on the road. There's no McDonald's. There's no Wendy's. There's nothing. After the gig, you go to a truck stop. What do you have? A cheeseburger. Is it greasy? Yes. What do you drink with it? A Coke or a Pepsi? Is it sugary? Yes. So every night at 2 or 3 in the morning, I'd have this thing happen to me, like somebody putting a knife right in the V of my chest and turning it, and I would be vomiting blood from both ends and in incredible pain and not know what to do. And my road manager, Jim Martin at the time, would take me to the hospital. They said, "You got to stay in overnight. Drink this stuff, and we'll take an X-ray of your inside. Drink this barium or whatever this white stuff was, and we might have to operate on you." And I'd say, "Well, we've got to drive to Cleveland tomorrow and play Cleveland." So what happened then in Cleveland? They'd say the same thing. "I've got to drive to Toledo. I've got to drive to Sloan." Well, you have to stop driving. Do you have any time off? Well, I've got 4 or 5 days off. Then go home to your doctor. I went back to Winnipeg, where the doctor who basically birthed Burton into the world, it was Burton's doctor and my doctor, my family doctor. And he took X-rays. He said, "You have 22 gallstones. Here's your gallbladder. Look at all these stones. And when you eat greasy food or sugary food, your gallbladder is trying to put the stuff out to dissolve it or assimilate it, and it's being blocked by the stones. So that's why you have this pain. Your gallbladder is trying to put it out, and you've got so many stones there. Your pain must be horrific." I said, "The only way I can explain the pain is super, super white hot." I couldn't find word. The pain was unbelievable. So a really incredible thing happened. The last night I had the gallbladder attack and they said to go home was in Westchester, Pennsylvania. And we get invited to a kid's house whose father's a contractor, and the kid has a band, and they play all Guess Who stuff, except he can't play Undone. He doesn't know the jazz chords. So we're playing this little church, and the stage is maybe a foot high. This guy's standing right in front of me, and he's watching me. And you can tell when a guitar player is watching you. And after the show, he says, "Can you teach me how to play Undone?" And I said, "Sure." He said, "Come to our house later. We have a basement with a Hammond organ and a PA. My dad's a contractor. We'll have a jam. We'll have a party there." I said, "Great." So we go there. We all start playing Guess Who stuff. So when I have to go home, I say this guy's name is Bob Sabelico. I say, "Bobby, we've only got 2 gigs on the weekend, and then we play at Fillmore East. I've got to go home to my own doctor. Can you play the 2 gigs on the weekend? I'll pay you out of my own pocket. We only play 25 or 30 minutes. So if you play ABCD, play No Sugar, These Eyes Blow, and I've taught you Undone, and do a bluesy song to fill up the time. You're on the tour with, the Buckinghams or somebody like that, or Vanilla Fudge or something. You can get through that." He says, "Okay." So I sit the band down and say, "Okay, guys, I've got to go home to Dr. Schneider. I've got to see what's wrong with me. And Jumbo can tell you," Jim Martin had a nickname, Jumbo. "Jumbo can tell you that I've had this attack every single night for like 14 days now. We don't know what it is. I think I'm dying. I don't know what it is." And when that happens to you, and you have a gallbladder stone or a kidney stone, you don't know what it is, but the pain is unreal. My daughters have had 4 and 5 children and gallbladder. And they said, "Dad, childbirth is nothing like gallbladder attacks." So I go back. Bobby Sabelico plays the dates with the Guess Who. I then fly back to New York, and the doctor says, "Yes, I'm giving you an appointment in August." This is the way in May. "I'm giving you an appointment in August. Your elective surgery now, and all you can eat is sugarless Jello, soda crackers, and skim milk, and maybe lettuce." I say, "Okay." I said, "I've got to go to New York. I'm playing the Fillmore." He says, "Okay, but be careful." So I go to New York, and I'm starving on the plane. Somebody gives me something. I go to New York. I play the first set at the Fillmore. We have a break in between. In the break, somebody gives me something to drink. I'm thirsty. It's a very sugary orange drink, and when I drink it, my gallbladder starts up, and I figure, "Oh no, oh no." I go into the bathroom at the Fillmore, which looks like the bathroom at a biker fest. It looks like the bathroom at
Sure.
Sturgis, North Dakota, Sturgis, South Dakota. Like, it is like trashed and wrecked. And I'm on my knees, are throwing up. But when you have the gallbladder attack, your body goes into this thing of a zone where all your adrenaline comes in and you're killing the pain. So I have this heightened state of, wow, I'm rocking. And I go on stage for the last set with the Guess Who, and I am playing like Eric Clapton. I am playing incredible. I'm taking my solos and making them 2 and 3 times as long. And the audience is clapping and cheering and stuff. And we play till like 2 in the morning. We keep getting encores. And when we finally go out, Burton says, We don't have anything else to play. And somebody yells out, play These Eyes. And Burton says, what? I thought you guys were too hip for These Eyes. They said, no, no, it's our high school love song. So we played These Eyes. It was the last song we played at the Fillmore, and they loved it. That was my last gig with the Guess Who.
But why did you leave? According to Burton, and I hate to, go back and forth, but I did an interview with Burton. I know Burton, or I did know Burton quite well when he was living here in LA. He said basically that this whole gallbladder thing was made up. They found you producing another band, and he said to the other two guys, either you're with me or you're with Randy. What's it going to be? He says he kicked you out of the band.
Well, I had to sit down with him and say, look, I need some time off. We had hit number one. We went from 750 a night, and we were 40 grand in the hole, to 10,000 a night. So I sat them down. And also, I have never done any drugs or smoked or drank coffee or stopped drinking when I was 22. So I haven't had a drink since I was 22. These guys were doing everything. And I was looking after them and the money. We had no manager. I would get a fax every night that would tell us where to go the next day. I'd collect the money. I'd get up and go to the bank. And I was like babysitting these guys on the road. And enough was enough. And I was like a narc at the parties every night, telling them not to do this. We've got to get up at 7 in the morning and drive to the next gig. They tell me to fuck off. And it just got to be a little bit too much. So when I had this gallbladder issue and I got back to Winnipeg, it didn't take them much longer. And I didn't do anything for I waited for the thing to come up in August and took care of it. I actually went to Saskatoon to get out of Winnipeg. There's so much flack there that I left the Guess Who. And they got two guys to take my place, Kurt Winter and Greg Lescue, and they went right back on the road. So did I quit while I left? Did he throw me out while I left? Maybe by the time he said, great, goodbye, good riddance. And I said, goodbye, good riddance.
Yeah, well, I think over the years, the relationship between you and Burton has gone up and down, up and down, up and down. Isn't that
Yeah.
kind of a good way to characterize it?
Yeah.
Now, this lawsuit, why? Everybody knows that you haven't been in the Guess Who since 1970. That was a real long time ago. You had BTO, you had Brave Belt, you had all this other success. Why are you a part of this lawsuit?
Because I feel these guys are tarnishing the the crown or the reputation of the Guess Who. We wrote incredible songs. We had incredible records. We had our own studio in Chicago. We had a great producer and engineer, Jack Richardson and Brian Christensen. We made records like nobody else. We got together in 2001 and toured with me and Burton, Gary Peterson, Donnie McDougall, and Bill Wallace. And they were Guess Who alumni. They had been on live at the Paramount, a couple other albums. That was really the perfect Guess Who, to have five guys, extra guitar, extra voice, doing all the harmonies and stuff. That was kind of like a perfect thing. In the middle of this whole thing, Jim Cale says, by the way, I own the name. What? I trademarked the name. Right. Well, you can't use it unless you pay me an extra 10%. What? Yeah, I want 10% off the top. You're kidding. Like an agent. Yeah, never mind the agent. I want 10 off the top. So we're rehearsing in Winnipeg, and it's like Monday, Tuesday, and our first gig is Saturday. And we've got to fly to Halifax, Nova Scotia, or St. John, Newfoundland, East Coast, and work our way right across Canada. We've got like 30 dates booked. They're all sold out. Jim Cale is a crackhead. He still is, and he was back then. So this is like 2000. I would pick him up every day at noon. He wouldn't be ready. I'd have to go and get him out of bed. So instead of starting rehearsal at noon, we start at 2 or 3 or 4 o'clock. After 3 or 4 days of this, and we're rehearsing in a nightclub, right, which a friend of ours had. And Jim would say, Randy, cover for me. What do you mean cover for you? I don't play bass. I'm falling asleep. Why are you falling asleep? I took a horse trank. What? I took a horse tranquilizer. What? Are you insane? Well, I couldn't go to sleep. And so now you're going to sleep in the middle of our rehearsal? He goes to sleep. We can't wake him up. We think he's dead. So Burton calls a meeting and says, we can't go on stage with this guy in Newfoundland and work our way across Canada when we don't know if he's going to show up at the rehearsal. I don't want to go on stage. This is my reputation. This is your reputation. This is the reputation of the Guess Who. We're back together. All the fans have let it known by selling out every concert in like 10 or 20 minutes. They want to see us. So we have a sit down with Jim Cale and say, unfortunately, we can't do this with you. You are unstable. So we want to get Bill Wallace, who took your place in Live at the Paramount when you fell down after the first night and broke your hand. He was too drunk to put his hand out. He fell on his hand playing bass. And Bill Wallace finished the next night, and that's Live at the Paramount with their second live show. Um, we're going to get Bill Wallace. And by the way, since you're taking 10 off the top, you need to pay him out of your split. So we get Bill Wallace. We go on the tour. It's really good. We have Don McDougal and Bill Wallace. We are fantastic. Then Cale comes, and Cale stays home and sells and does crack. His house is like one of the big crack house, and the police won't bust him because he's a local hero. He lived in the same house on Hemlock for 50 years.
I'll
It's
leave
like
that out.
it's a den downstairs.
I'll leave it out.
Okay, and then he says, "I want 15%. We want 15% for staying at home." Yeah, so Bert and I then got inducted into Canadian Songwriters Hall of Fame, and we're called Bachman Cummings. And we started to get gigs. Will Bachman Cummings play? If you can't come as the Guess Who, come as Bachman Cummings. Everybody here knows who you are. So we toured for a couple of years at Bachman Cummings, and it was great. But we really were the Guess Who. Um, then because of COVID, you see, when then Cale got what he calls 5 trained monkeys to go and play the songs, and Peterson, these guys weren't even born when the hits were had. These guys are like a bad 90s raw hair band or something. Um, you didn't know about it when they played Iowa or Nebraska. You got a letter later from somebody saying, "We went to see you. We took our kids, and you weren't there. Why weren't you there? We went to SeaWorld in Florida. You weren't there." That used to happen in the old days. Now, with everybody home for the last 2 years and COVID, everybody's on the internet. There's no newspaper anymore at 6 o'clock that your dad reads first before you can read the funnies. There's no news at 11 o'clock. There's news on every single minute of the day on CNN and Fox and everything, and everybody knows everything. And we now know these guys are touring as the Guess Who. We've got videos sent to us now in the last 2 days of somebody filming it and them on stage saying, "Well, what were you doing when you wrote this song?" And they're talking about No Time, and they're pretending they wrote the songs.
Yeah, that's very
It's
deceptive.
absolute bullshit. It's an absolute lie. It's misrepresentation, and they're ripping off the fans. They're also ripping off our reputation. Jim hasn't played with them for years and years, and Gary very rarely plays. He's in really bad health. They get the drummer from Tesla to go and play. So these 5 guys go, say they're the Guess Who. I just got a thing this morning that their first gig was canceled. Hooray. It just came in from a lawyer in LA.
Hmm. Well, yeah, I know Burton has been
Said,
trying to get them
we,
canceled for
we regret
years.
to tell you the concert's been canceled. We will refund all your money. Well, that's what we want. We want to shut these guys down. So I joined it now to preserve the legacy of the Guess Who and all the fans.
Yeah, I kind of hate to ask this, but I had bought tickets to the LA BTO show, and I thought it was a reformation. Obviously, not with your brothers, because I know what happened. My condolences. But I thought maybe Blair Thornton and Fred Turner were in it. And I saw the website. It's got all the pictures. They all look like they came out of four-wheel drive. I'm like, wow, they got the band back together, and it's just you. Isn't that a similar kind of thing?
I guess you could say that's a similar thing, except I am an original. I played and sang half the songs. Fred's wife has cancer. He's at home dealing with her. Fred's had a replaced kidney, and Blair Thornton has brain cancer and
Oh,
can hardly do anything. So they've given me their blessing and their go ahead. And I say, we are honoring you guys. We're putting up the film of you, and it'd be like Queen with Freddie Mercury singing bull rap with the whole audience. When Fred's up there singing Four Wheel Drive, you can sing with them. We're not saying, and we're doing what Leonard Skinner's doing. We're keeping the music alive and going. And as long as the fans will come and I'm giving the fans what they want and they're not feeling ripped off. Did you feel ripped off?
I unfortunately I came down with COVID and I was devastated. I couldn't attend the show.
Oh, that's good. So you weren't ripped off.
No, that's horrible that I couldn't attend the show. I love BTO. Randy, I mean, you are my musical hero. You were the first concert I ever went to. I love you.
But let me tell you this. When Fred is over his health challenge, which I don't, you can't print this.
Okay.
When Donna either recovers, she's in chemo now, or passes, Fred will come back. He has nothing else to do. He and I are working on songs for the new BTO album. he's going to sing on the album. He's kind of like, if I can do it, I'll do it, but I can't do it right now. He was falling down. He was falling asleep all the time. And I said, look, go and get a pacemaker. I got one. My dad had one the last 30 years of his life. It keeps you up at 70 beats per minute. If you go to a disco, pump it up to 120. You can dance all night long. So Fred went and got a pacemaker, and he feels great. And now he's got he replaced a kidney, or he took out a kidney or something. But his wife Donna has a serious health challenge, so he's there looking after her. I just went through 6 months of chemo. I had 5 cancers, and Coco, my daughter-in-law, who's Japanese, was helping me there with my chemo, and it is horrific what you go through.
Well, I'm sad to hear that, and I'm happy that you pulled through it. I think they're probably calling to tell you that we're out of time. I would love to continue this. I have a lot more questions for you,
Why
but
don't you call whoever you set this up with? Call Coco or something. I've got to do another call and go to a doctor, and
sounds
I can do it
great.
later today or tomorrow if you want to talk some more, because
That
I love
I'd love
gold
it.
mining.
That'd be
I've
great.
got stuff coming out. I got to tell you about.
Great, and I'd love to publicize it for you.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Randy. Take
Bye
care.
bye.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.